Seats. Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. You excited to be here? I'm excited to see all of you. I'd like to welcome you to the 12th Annual United Way Women's Leadership Council Breakfast. And although it is cloudy outside, the light is shining in here, all the better to highlight our tremendous honorees, Karen and Leslie. I am Allie Federico, and I'm happy to join you this morning, proudly as the new chair of the Board of Directors of the United Way of Westchester and Putnam. Thank you. An organization in whose mission I believe strongly and have been involved and supported for many years. And a big thank you to our outgoing chair, Billy Mooney. Billy, I have very big shoes to fill. Thank you, Billy, for your outstanding leadership and generosity of time. And I am blessed to be the chair of a board made up of very committed and supportive members. They give of their time, talent, and treasure generously. Will my fellow United Way board members please stand so you can be recognized also. Thank you. And now, importantly, a huge thank you to our presenting sponsors, New York Presbyterian and PepsiCo. Thank you for all you do in our community. And thank you to all of our event sponsors and our table benefactors. You lift us up every year, and the generosity this year has been truly extraordinary. I ask you now to please turn your attention to the monitor and join me in a heartfelt and hearty round of applause for all of today's sponsors and benefactors. Thank you so much. As they say, it takes a village, and we're fortunate that in Westchester County we have such generous corporate and community partners. I would also like to give a special welcome to two distinguished guests with us this morning. New York State Supreme Court Justice Linda Jamison. Thank you, Linda. And Westchester County Legislator, the Honorable Jewel Williams Johnson. Thank you both. As a previous Women's Leadership Council honoree, I am especially thrilled to be with you to share in this moment as we celebrate and recognize this year's stellar honorees, Karen Aaron and Leslie Lampert, for their significant contributions. These are two exceptional leaders. We salute you for your commitment and passion, strengthening the economic vitality of our community. You make a difference and help to make people's lives better every day. You exemplify what it means to pay it forward. This morning is a wonderful moment to once again come together as women leaders, and importantly, to raise critical funds to support the many Alice families in our community who truly need our help. Alice, asset limited, income constrained, employed. These are our neighbors, friends, and family that are struggling to make ends meet every day. And at a point in time, it could have been you, or it could be you. And events like this and organizations like our United Way can only be successful and impactful with your support and the committed leadership and a star-powered team at the helm. We are blessed to have both. And with that, I want to introduce United Way's President and CEO, Tom Gabriel. Thank you very much for being here.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the United Way's 12th Annual Women's Leadership Council event, Take a Walk in Her Shoes. Whether you are a longtime friend or this is your first United Way event, thank you for choosing to be a powerful force for good in our community. Let that sink in for a minute. Look around this room. You are surrounded by 230 people, exactly, all united for one reason: to do good in our community. Thank you for your part of that. If you're a first-timer, you should know that this breakfast is not only a sellout event, thanks to the incredible honorees that we have, Leslie Lampert and Karen Aaron. You'll hear more from them in a little bit. But also, it's the United Way's 9th straight sellout event. And that is a testament to your generosity and faith in our mission to provide help for today, hope for tomorrow, and the resources to build a better future for our community. United. Not for ourselves, but for our neighbors. Neighbors like Adriana, whose children receive new books and food each week, as well as a new backpack with supplies as part of our Ride United summer backpack program in partnership with Feeding Westchester to reverse the summer slide and provide nutritious meals when kids are not in school. Or Michaela, who recently lost her job and received toys through our Essential Goods program so that she could put them under the Christmas tree for her children. Or Mary, who called our 211 helpline because she needed to get out of a domestic violence situation and didn't know where to turn. Or Maria, a disabled senior who received free Lyft rides from our United Way so she could get to medical appointments. And Miriam, whose child attends our Education United free after-school program, and it allows her to work a few extra hours every week. These are real people, and they are just a few of the tens of thousands of real people that the United Way directly helps each and every day through our programs and services. Notice, I didn't mention the tens of thousands of people, women, children, and families that are helped by the hundreds of amazing nonprofit organizations, many of whom are in this room today, that we support with grants and other programs and initiatives. Organizations like Feeding Westchester, the Boys and Girls Club of New Rochelle, Caring for the Hungry and Homeless of Peekskill, Volunteer New York, the Youth Shelter of Westchester, the Portchester Carver Center, Lifting Up Westchester, Yonkers Partners in Education, and Sister to Sister International. If I left you off this list, please forgive me, my speechwriter ran out of room. That's because our United Way is more than just a pass-through. It's more than just a grant maker. Yes, we do that. I obviously just mentioned a number of organizations. Last year, we administered more than $500,000 in grants to over 100 partners one way or another. But we also offer more than a dozen programs and services that directly help women, children, and families. These advance education, financial stability, or health initiatives, and they holistically lift up the almost 40% of our neighbors that are living in poverty or paycheck to paycheck in an effort to create a more equitable community. Well, why is that important now? Well, that first group, the group that's living in poverty, has grown by 37% since 2010. We've gone from 29,000 households in poverty in Westchester to almost 40,000 households in poverty. We just released our 2024 ALICE report, which looks at the real cost of living in our community. You can find that on our website, uwwp.org, and the results are staggering. For those that don't know, the federal government defines poverty for a single mom with a child as about $20,000. Well, a single parent with one child in childcare must earn $67,000 a year in Westchester just to survive. That's more than $12,000 higher than the New York State average because it costs more to live in Westchester, and it's more than 3 times the federal poverty rate. Talk about a statistic being out of date. An important takeaway here is that minimum wage in Westchester is $16 an hour. So that single mom has to work an 80-hour work week just to survive in Westchester. And if we're talking about a family of 4 with 2 adults and 2 children in childcare, that minimum number is $108,000. And I assure you, these are very low estimates of what it costs to survive. But don't just take our Alice Report statistics as a barometer of the needs in our community. Look at our 211 helpline, which every year, last year in fact, fielded 680,000 referrals throughout the Hudson Valley, Long Island, and Adirondack region. Since 2010, it's increased by 536%. I didn't believe that stat when our Impact and 211 teams gave it to me. I made sure we double-checked it. The top 3 requests for assistance continue to be around housing insecurity, help with rent and utilities, and food insecurity. And our 2 honorees who you're going to hear from today are going to shine a light on that 3rd category, food insecurity, because they're the experts in that field. Going back to the Alice Report for a second, a family of 4 in 2010 could survive on $600 a month in food. Today, that same survival cost is $1,500. How can people survive? No, forget that. How could they even live when the cost of food, say nothing of rent and healthcare and utilities and technology and transportations, has skyrocketed over the past few years, and especially since 2010? But I don't want to get lost in the numbers, because it's about the people after all. People like Adriana, Michaela, Mary, Maria, and Miriam. And they need us. They need our united way to do more. Not to give them a hand out, but a hand up. To help level the playing field just a little bit and help create in this community a little more equitable environment. Because after all, as the writer Herman Melville once said, we cannot live for ourselves alone. Our lives are connected by 1,000 invisible threads, and along these sympathetic fibers, our actions run as causes and return to us as results. Our community is inextricably intertwined amongst these invisible sympathetic fibers. And we are all connected in this complex and fragile mosaic we call Westchester and Putnam. And we all want the same things. Let me be very clear about that. We all want the same things. We want the opportunity to create a better life for ourselves and our families. It's what my parents wanted when they struggled to put food on the table, living off my dad's bartender salary. And it's what my disabled mother thought would never happen when my father died of cancer when I was a teenager. And we went from surviving to poverty like that. It can happen to anyone, and it has happened to many of you in this room. As the proverb says, you reap what you sow. So why not sow kindness, humility, generosity? Why not hold the door open for someone? Why not return the shopping cart when you're shopping? I mean, come on, it's real easy. Because our actions run as causes and return to us as results. And that's why I have to tell you that last week, an anonymous donor pledged $5,000 if we can raise an additional $5,000 this morning. We normally don't do a paddle raise or a fund a need, and we're not going to ask you to raise your hands. But if you are in the position to do so, I must ask you to help with a contribution today. On the back of your program, there's a little QR code. That's far more technologically sophisticated than I'm capable of doing. If you scan it, follow the link to our webpage. There's a blue donate button. If you click on that, it'll take you to the donation page where you can fill out all the information. All the gifts made today will be recorded towards that $5,000 pledge. And if you are technologically challenged like I am, you can see Sean in the back who can help you either by taking a credit card or a check or whatever. I'm personally going to start us off with a donation of $500 in honor of my mom, who scratched and clawed to give me a better life. And that is why I am here today, paying it back and paying it forward as best that I can. I hope you will join me in that effort. Because of the invisible threads that connect us all, if you're in the position to do so, Please make a gift of any amount today to help us meet that $5,000 pledge. It will support our Education United After School program, our Essential Goods for Basic Needs program, our 211 helpline, our Ride United food delivery efforts, and so much more. Thank you. Breakfast is about to be served. Actually, it looks like it has. So that's how long I can talk for. Please enjoy your meal, everyone, and we'll be back after the program to honor our incredible honorees, Karen Erin and Leslie Lampert. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Margaret Tramontine, United Way's Chief Development Officer. I am so happy to welcome each of you to our annual celebration of the Women's Leadership Council and its philanthropic and volunteer work in our community. More than a decade ago, we purposely named this event Take a Walk in Her Shoes. It's a reminder of the Women's Leadership Council focus and fundraising efforts to support women and children in our communities who are living marginalized lives, living in poverty, or paycheck to paycheck and facing daily struggles. The theme, Take a Walk in Her Shoes, is also intentionally inclusive. It's about everyone who is part of this breakfast celebration, our speakers, our honorees, our sponsors, our volunteers who make this event possible, the neighbors that we raise funds to help, and it's also about each and every one of you who have purposely chosen to spend your morning with us. For those of you who have supported this event and our work, we are deeply, deeply grateful. And for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. Thank you so much for your time and your interest in learning more about what we do. Before I move this program along very swiftly, I want to give a quick shout out to a few friends in attendance with us. As we recognize Karen Erin and Leslie Lampert this morning, I would like to acknowledge our past Women of Distinction honorees who are with us this morning. Of course, our new board chair, Ali Frederico. Ali, where are you? I placed you. Elizabeth Bracken Thompson. Jean Marie Connolly. There she is. Maria Trusa, I see you. Jan Fisher, who is going to be with us today, but unfortunately could not. And last year's awardees, Judith Watson and Ellen Bloom. Woo-hoo. Now it's my pleasure to introduce someone who's deeply passionate about helping others, especially low-income residents in our community, and someone who never fails to make me smile. One of our 2023 Women of Distinction honorees and Westchester Community Health Center's Chief Executive Officer, Judith Watson. Judith, please join me to do the first honors.
I love you. Thank you, Margaret. Morning, everyone. Morning. Let's give Margaret and the United Way a round of applause. And let me just say to the AV team, I have a problem again this year with this microphone being too short, okay? Every year. All right, okay. All right, so I'm gonna be brief. They told me, Judith, don't go on for too long. Good morning, everyone. I want to say, Leslie, I love you. Where are you, Leslie? I love you, love you, love you. But I am here, and congratulations. I'm here this morning to talk about my sister from another mother. And so, good morning. I am so happy to be back with you. I'm so happy to be back with all of you at Tappan Hill for another amazing and inspiring morning. Each year, the Women's Leadership Council presents an award to someone in our midst who has made a real, significant, and lasting change in our community. She is our Woman of Distinction. Our first honoree this morning has devoted her career to serving others, specifically working to reduce hunger in our communities and help put health, nutritious food on the table for children, adults, and families. And what could be more important than that, right? Food. For nearly 30 years, Karen Aaron has dedicated her life to what is called food banking. Whether as development director early on at the Arkansas Food Bank, or as executive director of Florida's Palm Beach Club Food Bank. A passionate leader and skilled communicator with a ready smile and genuine warmth. This little girl from Little Rock, as Karen is fond of stating, cares deeply to others and is wholly committed to helping and feeding the most vulnerable among us. In August of 2020, in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, she came just in time. She was the leader that we needed in that moment. Karen Aaron arrived in Westchester County as Feeding Westchester's new president and CEO, and immediately hit the ground running. Collaborating, partnering, rallying, advocating, and raising all hell. I can assure you of that. Karen led her team of extremely talented staff, they're at the table over there, and dedicated volunteers throughout the uncertainty of endless challenges, constant supply chain issues, and an unprecedented volume of requests for help. Hunger is real, okay? The need, it's real. Since then, Feeding Westchester has doubled its food distribution, helping more and more fellow residents in need, shown a strategic light on the seriousness of hunger in our community, doubled the organization's revenue, it's a big deal, and elevated its visibility and strengthened its advocacy efforts. Karen has led the charge to drive efficiently and successfully Karen has led the charge to drive efficiency and successfully oversaw the expansion of Feeding Westchester's Elmsford facility. And if you haven't been there, you should check it out. I can tell you, the first time I went there, I became overwhelmed with emotion. When you walk into that warehouse and you see all of those foods on the shelves and you know that they're not for sale, they're going to folks who need it, it was overwhelming. I became emotional. Adding more loading docks and doubling the agency's food storage capacity to better serve our community. Almost done. Karen Aaron exudes warmth, passion, and most especially compassion. Let me say that she is badass, and I hope it's okay to say that here, if you know her, okay? She is the quintessential servant leader, bringing boundless energy, inner confidence, and collaborative spirit in her team's enormous mission of feeding the hungry in Westchester County. She is a strong female woman leader, a voice and advocate for others, and I know for so many of us this morning, a colleague and above all, a friend. She is my sister from another mother. Karen, on behalf of the United Way of Westchester and Putnam and our Women's Leadership Council, we are honored to present you with this Woman of Distinction Award.
Thank you, Judith. Thank you, Tom. Good morning, everyone. I myself am a little overwhelmed. I don't know who wrote that for Judith, but it was very generous, so I appreciate that. Thank you to my dear friend, Judith Watson, for that intro, and to all the honorees who came before. This is really a special event. I have been moved by the stories that these women have shared, and I'm honored to now be amongst them. I want to thank Tom, Faith, Margaret, Avery, and the entire team and board of the United Way of Westchester and Putnam counties, specifically the Women's Leadership Council, for this honor. Thank you to the Feeding Westchester board and team members, and one of my daughters, Paige, who are here to celebrate with me. My younger daughter is home with my second granddaughter, who was born October 27th, so she gets a pass. I also want to tell you that I feel my parents, both of whom are deceased, here with me today. So I want to bring them into this room. I appreciate Judith talking about and Tom talking about our shared work, our commitment to ending hunger as we can, and the folks who experience hunger in our community. I want to talk to you today about the women I represent. First, I want to recognize the Feeding Westchester women. Women of distinction indeed. Our board members who helped me grow professionally and personally, and our extraordinary team. I use the word extraordinary, and I don't use that lightly. Each of our team members is so deeply committed to mission, and they work so hard every day. I am here in front of you at the pinnacle of my career to date, with a job I adore, working alongside this truly extraordinary team in a community that welcomed me almost 4.5 years ago with open arms. Just as important to all of us at Feeding Westchester is caring for the team inside our distribution facility, not just in the community. I am honored to share with you all that we ensure that each of our team members is compensated fairly and appropriately. We've instituted organization-wide market comps. And that is why, whether you have been with us for 30 years, like our dear Miss Suzanne, or you have been with us 30 days, like the newest great team members to join us, you can feel confident that you are paid appropriately. It's why we increased our entry wage from the $20 an hour we instated in July 2021 to most recently $23 an hour in July of this year. And just as important, every single one of our team members, I hope, knows that they are critical to our mission. They are truly essential workers. If our team members, including warehouse selectors, drivers, food and fund procurers, administrative team members, and others, aren't in the office, food doesn't get on tables. Folks don't have food in their refrigerator. Women and men of distinction, all. I share this recognition with them. I represent them. I think back over the 35 years of my career, first of all, eek, and I realized that this community doesn't know and didn't see my struggle years. Leading right up to my first organizational leader position, y'all, I worked a second job as a restaurant server, a bartender, a caterer, sometimes in order to make ends meet, and sometimes to ensure that my daughters and I could have a vacation. I think about the many times I turned to people in my life for help, my parents, friends, my beloved grandmother, my mother-in-law. For me, those times were temporary, but for so many in our community who live below the federal poverty line or are a part of the ALICE population, those hard times are not temporary. For the hardworking women and men, many of whom hold multiple jobs and can't make ends meet, or the seniors who worked their entire lives and now their pension and Social Security just can't get them through the month. For the children who are born into circumstances they did not choose. I share this recognition with them. I represent them. For all of those folks who don't have food on their tables consistently, Feeding Westchester, alongside our dear partners at United Way in Westchester and Putnam counties, and alongside the 175 organizations throughout our county with which we serve our community. Y'all, we help them through those hard times. We help them through their struggle. We are the people in their lives that stand between them and hunger. And it is the only reason we're able to do that is because of you and your support. So, people of distinction, thank you. Thank you all.
Good morning and congratulations, Karen. It is truly a privilege to recognize you for the amazing work that you do in our county. You bring food to the people that need it most, kids, adults, and families. We cannot thank you enough. You are an inspirational community leader, an inspiration woman leader, and a friend to so many in this room. So thank you. Good morning, everyone. I am Ellen Bloom, Director of Community Affairs for New York Presbyterian in Westchester County. We are proud to be a sponsor of today's event with 30 of my colleagues here today coming out to support this event. And I am privileged to have the role of representing the 3 NYP campuses, Hudson Valley and Cortlandt Manor, Westchester in Bronxville, and of course, Westchester Behavioral Health in White Plains. And in 2025, we will be opening another campus in White Plains that will bring exceptional care and greater access to our county for all. We are focused on everyone there. Last year, like my friend Judith Watson, I was the recipient of the 2023 Women of Distinction Award. And it's such a pleasure to be here to recognize someone so special to our community, Leslie Lampert. Our awardees today are so accomplished. I am in awe of the work that they've done. She is well known and truly beloved by so many in our community. Leslie Lampert is recognized for Ladle of Love and Love Hospitality. That is locally sourced food that she brings to our community. Her soup and sandwich shop in Bronxville, I know our NYP Westchester people partake in, right across the street from our hospital. And her Love on the Run catering service is just amazing for so many people in our community. But wow, each week, Leslie Lampert oversees and feeds more than 1,500 kids at the at the Boys and Girls Club of Northern Westchester, which I had the privilege of visiting earlier this year. I was blown away by what I saw. This woman is incredible. And I know, listening to her podcast, that she loves work-life family balance. When do you do this, Leslie? In your spare time? You also may be surprised that Leslie began her career as a journalist, eventually rising to the position of senior editor for Ladies' Home Journal. She also spent countless hours writing food articles and appearing in national publications. And for those of you old enough to remember, appearing on Sally Jesse Raphael's show. I remember. And also Oprah Winfrey. So, wow. Her incredible trajectory for her career has a singular theme, and it is clear that theme is why we are here today. A simple, powerful word: love. It's in the title of her entire business that she has built. Love and gratitude inspired Leslie to bring homemade soups to the first responders after the 9/11 attack. As word quickly spread about her delicious food items, the soup business was born, and the rest, as we say, is history. Today, 21 years later, Leslie continues to nourish and to care and love others. She does this during good times, and she does this during times of challenge and crisis. Most notably, during the COVID-19 pandemic, while most of us had to remain home, except our healthcare workers, she delivered nutritious foods and ladles of love to frontline healthcare workers. Leslie gives selflessly of herself. Leslie is often heard asking, "What more can I do for you?" And I know that because I'm on the board of United Way with Leslie, and I hear that theme. Not surprisingly, she is a founder of the United Way Women's Leadership Council and has been adding her special touch and direction to the wonderful breakfast that we're having here today since 2013. Leslie, on behalf of United Way, I am truly honored to present you the United Way of Westchester and Putnam Women's Leadership Council Woman of Distinction Award. Please come up.
Make me cry. Oh my God. Oh God.
I'll put this over here for
so
you.
much.
Love you too.
Okay, mic drop. First of all, thank you, Ellen, for that generous introduction. You know a lot about me, and for all you do for our community. You're an amazing ambassador, and I will always continue to feed you across the street in our Bronxville shop. Food. It's necessary for life, but it goes way beyond the series of cell sets and organ impacts to sustain our bodily functions. Yes, we take getting the essentials for our food insecure population seriously, but we are mission driven to proffer healthy, delicious, culturally familiar dishes and ingredients that lift up opportunities for food as celebration, not only for sustenance. Because behind just being fed as rescue are opportunities to present life-affirming possibilities. While I've never been food insecure, a bonus for being in the food business, I have had many different chapters of life insecurity. And feeling compromised and constricted plays into feeling hopeless. That's where the United Way soars. Yes, in its rescue missions, but in presenting fulfilling futures for better lives, opportunities for growth, to thrive, not just survive. Many of us here represent Alice, living paycheck to paycheck. Throw in divorce and company recalibrations and job insecurities, childcare issues, family health crises, and there's a cash flow deficit many months. I've lived through many different financial scenarios. A big house and luxury vacations, a small house and huge debt, an apartment that had a catastrophic flood where I lost everything and moved in with my generous friend Susan Ruth here today. We had a blast for a year and a half. It was actually fun to have a housemate and watch the never-ending series called A Place to Call Home. It was a prescient platform looking back. I did call that place home, but I was always yearning for the freedom to finance my own little cottage, and I finally did during COVID. I tell you all this because I bank on possibilities, which is what we, Women's Leadership Council of the United Way, is founded upon. And while our mission is to uplift our bright, beautiful, capable women who struggle to make ends meet, it's our collective community responsibility to take care of one another in the ways that we can. I've worked closely with this food angel next to me over here and her team in many ways to get food to their recipients at Feeding Westchester. We also made sure that the administration were fed properly during COVID-19 so that they could have the strength to care for their constituents, and carry out the processes of proffering healthful food. Karen is an indefatigable, inspiring, and incontrovertible hunger hero, whom I have the privilege of calling friend, who parachuted into the Northeast during COVID and brought with her a Southern charm and year-round sunny climate to everything she touches and teaches. Yes, if I win the lottery, I'll be cutting checks for the United Way and feeding Westchester and Westchester Medical Center and New York Presbyterian and the Boys and Girls Club of Northern Westchester. Does intention count? You bet it does. Because you never know when someone who cares about our philanthropic platforms will have the wherewithal to reach into their pockets. But in the meantime, I feel full for the ways that I can give. I share this with you all because everyone can give. Here are some of the ways. Number one, give a shit. Number two, give a shout on social media, through emails, networking events. Share whatever your goods accesses are: clothing, self-care packages, cosmetics, childcare accoutrements. Give your time, volunteer. I started writing this a couple of months ago. As a matter of interest, I was a journalist, as Ellen said, for many years in New York City, so I care deeply about how our stories are communicated. And I believe being transparent is key to learning from one another. Since now we call asking, praying, begging, and hoping manifesting, I ask you all to manifest the positivity of giving. There's a book called The Go-Giver by Bob Berg and John David Mann, a compelling parable that shares the secret of success is giving, not to be confused with go-getters. And so when I wrote this, I began to manifest my new perspective that I share with you all and to the struggling population. Expect progress. Expect prosperity, not just rescue. And because I just saw the epic movie Wicked, I dare say, defy gravity. I want to extend profound thanks to my extraordinary United Way partners. Bernadette Schopfer, whom I met on day one of our WLC journey together and forged a cherished friendship. She's volunteered many times in our commissary kitchen in Kisco. Margaret Tramontine, the definition of smart with a heart. To the incredible support team at the United Way, Faith, Jeff, Linny, Rich, Avery, Sean, and everyone on the staff, I'm sorry if I missed a name, who have elevated and proven the many components that define community care. Tom Gabrielle, who profoundly understood the business of running a nonprofit even before the documentary Uncharitable became a sensation. And my esteemed board of directors with whom I've had the privilege of collaborating and contemplating how to best serve our community. To Eliza Ozer, the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Northern Westchester, where Ladle of Love is the exclusionary culinary partner, who reached out to me when she was forming the WLC in her role at the United Way more than a decade ago, and who's initiated many myriad programs for our Alice families, and to Teresa and Shante, who are with her today, and they're my posse. To my cherished, okay, I'm gonna cry now. To my cherished family and friends who've been the wind beneath my wings during so many personal recoveries. My children, my champions, Elizabeth, Amanda, and Alex here today. My sister Nancy, who was literally delivered to me as a BFF, thank you, Mom. My besties who've boosted me for more than 40 years, all sitting here. And my collegial comrades scattered here around different tables today. That's one of the best parts of being in some of these nonprofit situations. You get to meet people who are like-minded, and then you forge friendships and you do incredible things together. To all of you here today, thank you for sharing our missions to make a difference, no matter how that looks in your world, for how that can impact nourishing our neighbors in need. To Justy Carter, my Alice in Wonderland, who I can't wait to spotlight in our panel discussion. You'll need a couple tissues for this triumphant story that I am so proud of. Finally, I know I exceeded my time limit. Sorry, I'd rather ask for forgiveness than permission. Let me just say to everyone, bon appetit.
Wow.
How amazing. It's really interesting, Leslie, when you mentioned the founding membership piece, because on my tag today, this is the thing I'm most proud of, is the line founding member. Because when I think that more than a decade ago, and many of you are in the room today who helped us found this incredible organization, women truly are the leaders here in Westchester County, as seen by our honorees today, and all the women who helped found this, including Eliza Ozer, who was mentioned before, and Leslie, and so many of you out there. So I want to give you all a round of applause for your work in creating this amazing organization. And congratulations, Tom and Margaret, because you've had incredible success with this organization, and so well deserved. And now I want to invite back our honorees for a little conversation that has become part of our program here today. It's going to be very short, but it's going to be impactful, because we're going to talk about the widespread food insecurity on the ALICE population in our community, and those adults living from paycheck to paycheck. So Karen and Leslie, come on back up here and take a seat, and a well-deserved hug for both of you as sisters now as part of the Women in Distinction class. So let's start with you first, Karen. Yes. I'm going to ask you because you are the queen of Feeding Westchester, for some stats, right? For some stats on food insecurity in Westchester that underscore the impact on the ALICE population, which we all know, for some of you who don't, are single mothers. They're 40% of the Westchester food insecure, and you heard the other stats from Tom before. So share with us some stats, Karen, if you would.
So I don't think I need a mic.
Yeah, we're bringing you one here.
Thank you. Is it on? Yep. So Tom spoke quite a bit about the statistics of need in the community. What I want to share with you is statistics of access. And what I mean by that is, as I mentioned earlier, we have 175 unique partners with whom we distribute food, and then we also have direct distributions through our mobile food pantry. Pre-COVID, that hunger relief system, which is what I call it, was seeing about 140,000 neighbor visits each month. Okay? We call them neighbor visits because so many of our partners are completely independent of each other, right? Independent 501c3s, or in a religious organization, sometimes in the basement, they make it work, many of them. And so now we see an average of almost 200, let me finish that thought, so sorry. So if Karen goes to a pantry in Yonkers today, and then I'm in White Plains at a pantry next week, that counts as 2 visits, okay? So anyway, almost 230,000 people each month last fiscal year, which just ended in June, 2.7 million neighbor visits.
Wow. Wow. Impressive. That really shows the impact. Thank you, Karen. And Leslie. About the role of food in our lives. You mentioned before the idea that food is not just about nourishment, it's also about our physical selves and creating feelings of connection. So could you please share with us maybe a real-life story of how food has created a real-life connection for you?
With pleasure. Thank you, Liz.
You're welcome.
I want to introduce everybody. Please stand up to Justique Carter. And I want to start by saying that Justique and I have forged a friendship since she was a kid at the Boys and Girls Club of Northern Westchester. And what is this, 14 years ago, Justique? I want you to stand up now. I'm going to give you the mic, and I want you to take us through what has your trajectory since the time we met, and you won the Youth of the Year Award, and you went to an outstanding college, and I'm going to let you go through the rest of it, And now, again, I'm a crier, so I'm going to cry. Not only does Justique have an incredible job, having come from a very contracted, difficult background, family life, but she has a job with the healthcare industry, and she is my part-time administrative assistant. Unbelievable how the whole thing came full circle. I'm so proud of you, and thank you. I get to thank you. So I want you to just give a little bit of your trajectory.
Hi, I was not prepared to speak. Surprise! Right, surprise! Good morning, everyone. My name is Justique, and I'm 25 years old. I started as a young member at the Boys and Girls Club of Northern Westchester, where I spent all of my years until I aged out of the program, and then I started to work there. But shortly before my time was over as a member, I ran for Youth of the Year twice, the first time landing the runner-up Chris Kutry Memorial Award, and then achieving getting Youth of the Year. That was when I was welcomed to Leslie, who became my mentor, and that was kind of the pivotal point in my life. I was an impressionable young teenage girl with a lot of different avenues to take, but one that I could not have seen without Leslie's light was one that led me to where I am today, which is now working full-time, serving marginalized communities, have access to healthcare, and a full-time position that has allowed me to now be I'm a mom to a fur baby, and I have my first apartment. And I've come from a family that has only known government assistance. I'm the first in my family to not be on government assistance, and it is a shock every single day to be able to support myself, both financially and to make sure that I can feed myself, and things that people in my family before me thought was a privilege. So I'm thankful every single day for the mentorship, the leadership, the opportunities, and the doors that you have opened for me, and it has truly changed my life. So thank you so much, and thank you to everybody here today.
Forget about Broadway. This is so much fun.
She's your Alice in Wonderland.
She's my Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland.
I'm so
What a
proud of
great
you, and
story.
I'm so grateful for you.
That is fabulous. I'm going to ask both of you ladies, Karen and Leslie, to talk a little bit about the hidden Alice population. Karen, you talked a little about that in your remarks. Leslie, you mentioned a little bit, but very often we don't know the full story, the backstory of people who have struggled to get ahead and their private stories. And there might be someone sitting next to you right now who has a story you'd be surprised to learn. And we heard Tom's story before too about his upbringing. Would you be willing to share with us some of your personal struggles and some of your thoughts about the Alice community and how we shouldn't really judge people who are standing online with food stamps or standing at Feeding Westchester to accept their food?
Well, Liz, there was a lot packed in that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So I'll just say a couple things. I think what is the through line between what you asked, between what Tom said, hopefully I said, and then Leslie reinforced, is that you never know what people are going through, and you never know what they've been through to get where they are. I think memes have varying importance on my life depending on how funny they are or how clever, but that one that says, you know what Tom said this morning, you never know what people are going through, just be kind. I think that I also would like to add that you do not have to be making less money to be living at or above your means. I think that's a really important point. And I also want to reiterate that if there is not enough money, you cannot budget your way out of poverty. And so I think everyone has a story. Everyone has been on top of the world, hopefully in their own way, in their own realm. And then guess what? That just makes it a lot easier to fall flat on your face, right? And so I think the value, and what this always comes back to me, and one of the primary reasons I'm so fortunate to be in this field, is because hunger relief at the end of the day is about neighbors helping neighbors. Hunger relief is about relationships. And once you know someone's story, the opportunity to judge them lessens significantly. So I think that's what I would say about that. I referenced my own struggles. I've certainly had them. But y'all don't have enough time to spend with us this morning for me to share those with you. I will, however, be happy to go to lunch with you and talk about it.
Thank you for being so forthcoming. I think being transparent and forthcoming is how we get to the next level and the next level and the next level when we share our realities. 2 things I want to say about that. Sometimes when you're feeling the most contracted is when giving is the best thing you can do to fill yourself up. And I have been in that situation, and I know, Karen, you have too. Giving is a currency, and it is an amazing feeling. Even when you think you can't, it makes you feel like you're impacting someone else, even if you can't pay your electric bill. But knowing that you have done something that impacts someone else gives you power, self-power. The other thing I want to say is, I want to talk about social media for one quick second. Okay, it's there, I use it, I get it. But it also causes a lot of problems with people's personal identities, because social media looks like everything is a snapshot of success and triumph. There is no platform for process. Process is everything. How we get there is everything. So I think that one of the things we all have to sort of redirect is to say, what are the milestones that I want to make until I get to where I want to go? That is so important, because the smallest milestone gets you to the next one, gets you to the next one. My children are going to laugh because I say every chapter, every misstep ferries you to the next place. And I am writing a book called It Takes Mistakes, because the reality is we learn nothing from all of our successes. We only learn how to get to where we're going by the chapters that didn't feel so good.
That's true.
And I want to really celebrate that. And I also want to talk about, quickly, and I know you have more questions, Liz, but food is celebration. And Karen and I talk about this all the time, that we don't want it to feel like a handout. We want it to feel like go home, sit around the table, have family conversation, enjoy the food that you may make from the fresh food that now Feeding Westchester gives so much of, about your culinary preferences and cultural flavor profiles. I want food to be joyful and celebratory, not just sustenance.
So well said. How inspirational. Thank you both for that. I want to open it up. If anyone has any questions in the room they'd like to ask Karen or Leslie. Any questions? Oh, one question. Yes.
No heckling, Judith.
So
Judith.
This question is for you both. How do you stay motivated, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be frustrating, this work, right?
So good.
How do you stay motivated? What drives you?
That's a great question. How do you stay motivated?
It can be frustrating to tackle what I often describe as an almost infinite need. And I take very seriously anyone who is struggling with that, because mental health matters. And y'all started out in corporate advertising and marketing. I do not care what cell phone you use. I do not care what bank you use, respectfully to all my banking friends in the room. And this is, after my family, my greatest joy. I am honored, and I almost every moment of every day to get to do this work alongside so many amazing, incredible people and organizations. And when I'm frustrated because it all feels like paperwork, my team knows I walk the distribution facility, and I look the team in the face and I ask them how they're doing. And they tell me, and they share things with me, and I literally just like bounce back up to my office. So for me, it is the team and the folks we serve. It is an honor. And I don't mean to act like, oh, I'm never tired or frustrated, because that's certainly not the case. That's why they call it work. But really, I am very aware every day of the gratitude I have for the life I live.
Great. That is great. Thank you, Karen.
I gotta go now. Judith, you're amazing, by the way.
We love you, Judith.
My answer to that, among the many things that are racing through my head, is there's a book that I've been reading on Audible. Do you guys do Audible? It's awesome. And it's called Don't Believe What You Think. And I don't know if anybody has read it, but it's basically a book about how to control your thoughts. Thoughts are one thing, overthinking is another thing. To answer the question, it's every day is a blank canvas. Every single day you get a chance to be who you want to be, do what you want to do, say what you want to say. You might regret stuff, but that's okay, we're human. Last time I checked. And so I look at life every day as what's possible today. I'll cry in the shower the night before, I'll ruminate over some ridiculous, or important thing that happened. But when I wake up in the morning, what's possible today? Sometimes the possibilities are little, and sometimes they're huge, but here's the story. They don't come to you on a silver platter. You have to recognize them. That takes thought, not overthinking, but that takes being able to recognize when there's opportunity, because it doesn't come with a drum roll. It comes by just having a dream and believing in it.
So well said. We're going to close today by asking our two honorees to give us some advice as we leave the breakfast today. And this has been just so inspirational, the words that you have shared with us this morning, and talk about possibilities. You've created a great way to start this day. But I would like each of you to please give a little idea of what we can all do as we leave here today to feed the need of others or lend a hand. Karen?
So what I would say to everyone here is just listen to yourself. For me, it's hunger. But for you, it might be trees or dogs or, whatever matters most to you. It is the cumulative effort of us all, as Tom said, that truly changes the world. So I hope, whether your efforts are small or large, whether they are financial or time, whether they are advocacy, sharing the word, raising awareness, whatever it is valuable, and you are valued.
Great advice.
Show up in whatever way that you can. Don't think if you don't have deep pockets, although those are good, that you can't help. Just show up, and show up for the people in your life that matter. Show up with an ear, with compassion. Compassion is way underrated. Have compassion. Understand what somebody else may be going through or is going through. Be a listener. And then do what you can do in your own life. Sometimes it's just calling someone and saying, thinking about you. Want to go for a cup of coffee. And to the point with Justique, just to bring it full circle, and I know we're done, When I had Cafe of Love for 11 years, the restaurant in Mount Kisco, I brought her and her cousin just to have lunch one day. And for us, a lot of us here, that's just a normal thing. But for a lot of people, that's a huge gift. And you've reminded me of that on so many occasions. So just show up and give what you can in the ways that you can. That's it.
Such great advice. And let's give a round of applause to our honorees. Now you know why they are women of distinction.
We're not done. Yeah. I gotta. Okay. It's okay. No, it's already too late. Everybody's leaving. Okay. It's okay. Close it up? Yeah, there's a lot I gotta say. I'm just. I have to speak. No. It's too late. Yeah. It's too late. Half the room's left on the same thing.